Fellas, AC here. Welcome to another review. This time we're talking about an Amouage, a fabulous Amouage. So, Amouage Memoir. Not a lot of talk about Amouage Memoir. Now let me show you one thing. Oh, by the way, this evening is the first time I realized that Amouages at the top have a different logo. It's basically a sort of a crown. Yeah, it's very different to the normal logo, which is my absolute favorite because I like to photograph these bottles as well, and whenever I photograph an Amouage, the logo really comes out beautifully. This is the packaging. When you first see Memoir Man, what comes to mind? Yeah, just one word, whatever word you can think of. Yeah, to my mind, it's regal. It's absolutely regal. This fragrance is so beautifully made and it's so beautifully complex. It's just directly associated with the word regal for me. Yeah, and I've got quite a few such fragrances. So Memoir, look at the cap. I mean, it's just gunmetal kind of silver with, it's just beautiful. Look how gorgeous this is. I mean, this is so elegant. And the fragrance is one such. It was released in 2010 and the parfumer is Karine Spehner. Now, I've not reviewed anything from her, but I'm going to review a few from her because this work has really impressed me. So I've already got a dry down here, and this dry down is about 5.5–6 hours old. So I'm gonna stop from spraying a fresh one because the fresh spray is gonna completely overtake the dry down, and the fun and the complexity is in the dry down. So let me explain to you what is Memoir Man's composition. This is composed as a green scent with a lot of weird and uncharacteristic notes. And this weirdness is very apparent when you first spray it. When you first spray it, you're going to smell a very sweet, tangy, green smell. Yeah? And it's slightly boozy in nature. But there's no mention of booze in the notes breakdown. And that's what gets people. Yeah. So it's very tangy, like minty tanginess. It's very green, like Artemisia. Artemisia, most of you know, is basically a flavoring agent in the famous alcohol called absinthe. So Artemisia has this fresh, earthy, and woody kind of a nuance. And then there is this sweetness, which surprised me a lot because there's no sweet notes in the notes breakdown. But it's sweet, and that's what gets people. The minty, wormwoody, sweet smell. So a lot of people, well, 50% of the people don't like this fragrance. And the people who really do think very highly of it. Myself being one. Now, it's a green scent, so what's sweetness doing there? It's lavender. But I don't know why lavender is so sweet here. It's literally very sweet. As if sugary vanilla has been used. Yeah? That sweetness recedes progressively and then comes back again. So very little, very gentle kind of sweetness. So the opening is sweet, green, herbaceous, because of two notes, mint and basil, and slightly boozy and very uncharacteristic. Unsettling, weird to some extent. But now I'm used to it. I've given it a fair amount of wearing, and I love this opening. But I can see if people don't like it because that spearminty sweetness really wrongfoots people. But the magic happens when the fragrance starts to dry down. When the fragrance starts to dry down, that Artemisia takes hold of the fragrance and it brings in a very peculiar note. Olibanum. And that olibanum is like olibanum smells, not the smoky. The fragrance is smoky. Don't get me wrong. But it's not because of the olibanum. It's because of sandalwood. Sandalwood brings in the smoky, woody element a little later, but olibanum of the highest quality. And what is Amouage known for? Olibanum. Yeah, this brand is based out of Oman, and that beautiful olibanum combined with this Artemisia or wormwood, as people call it, brings in a couple of earthy notes. One being vetiver, and the other being a very earthy sandalwood note. The sandalwood notes moves in the reverse direction. From being earthy, it moves towards being aromatic, vibrant and airy. The first dry down I call it the first dry down because the late dry down is even more interesting. The first dry down keeps the vetiver, loses lavender to a large extent, keeps the basil, keeps the mint, and also intensifies the top note of sandalwood. Yeah, but up till now it's always herbal. In the very late dry down, it's even warmer. It becomes warmer and loses that smokiness from the sandalwood lavender combined, I would say. There's this little incensey smokiness. Maybe there's incense as well. I can't remember. But this fragrance never appears to me as an incense green fragrance. It appears to me as an olibanum, beautiful olibanum green fragrance. Outstanding fragrance. The late dry down brings in a little bit of warmth, as you would have when you gulp down on a glass of scotch. That kind of warms your cockles. That sort of warmth. And that I attribute to a combination of that sandalwood combined with vetiver and a little bit of amber. And maybe even a boozy side to it. Because, wormwood is used in absinthe. Maybe that's the reason the fragrance turns a little bit warm. What a beautiful fragrance this is. The sandalwood note here, used here, is just outstanding, guys. It's the top note of sandalwood. It doesn't take you to the whole journey. And it goes in a reverse direction. It starts off smelling like a middle or the heart of a sandalwood would smell, but moves towards a kind of a vibrant top note of sandalwood. Absolutely amazing. I cannot get over the dry down of this fragrance. The dry down is just spectacular. It's absolutely spectacular. The moment it dries down, you feel as if you're wearing a very expensive fragrance and extremely well composed. It's amazing. So, upsides and downsides. Let's start with the upside. Complexity. There are very few fragrances in today's world which gives you that sort of journey. Starts off somewhere, ends up somewhere. You would have never imagined when you smelled it, sprayed it first, that this was basically a sandalwood dominated fragrance. You couldn't have imagined. But it becomes a sandalwood dominant fragrance. And it's a very weird opening. So that's what wrongfoots people. So the complexity is the biggest strength of this fragrance. The second one is amazing performance. You would get easily 10 hours with projection of at least 2 hours. Yeah. The third one is the composition, materials. That olibanum, that sandalwood, that artemisia, even the lavender and the vetiver. They are the highest quality. So when you spray this, you immediately know you're wearing something premium. And like a amazingly complex arrangement of music. So many notes. They all come and play their little parts, Even vetiver. I was smelling vetiver this evening, Outstanding. Very, very well made fragrance. Downside. The opening, wrongfoots people, pretty bad. You can look at the comments on Fragrantica. 50% like it, 50% completely loathe it. There's no middle ground. So that's the number one downside. If you're really interested by my description, I would urge you to sample this, because this is one that divides the opinion. Number two downside, this is a fragrance that I don't think you will like in the first few wearings, because it's so complex and it's so full on in terms of party of various notes. It's a huge bouquet. You have to have the patience of a connoisseur. This is not for a person who's just looking for an amazing panty dropper. Forget it. This is not for that. This is for the connoisseur. So you have to wear it 4 or 5 times to really get to the bottom of it. You have to grasp the complexity of this fragrance. The width and the cinematic, whole star cast of this fragrance is huge. So you have to really give it time, understand it, soak it in, and then you can basically pass your judgment if you want to. Seasons. Any season. I've worn this in summer because it's a green scent. Spring is the most amazing time to wear this. I worn this in the dead of winter and it just lifted me up. That sandalwood came and just hugged me. And I love sandalwood. It's beautiful. You can wear this anytime, any season, any occasion. Yeah, it's the most versatile. Once you get to grips with the fragrance, this is your best friend. Compliment factor. I got 1 or 2 compliments. One was from a dear friend of mine, and he just said, the fragrance you're wearing just exudes confidence. He just said to me, you're anyways a very confident person, but this fragrance exudes confidence. As I said, it's very regal. So imagine yourself in the position of someone with authority. It exudes that confidence of authority. No question about that. Price point. Amouages are expensive. But what Amouage gives you, very few brands can. It gives you very high quality materials. Extremely complex composition. I can't think of, very few Amouages are basically less complex. Yeah, most of them are complex. And the most important thing is it gives you tremendous performance. Every Amouage, almost all. So those are the benefits of having a fantastic, Amouage in your hand. Obviously, this is not cheap. 150 to 250 pounds, depends on where you get it and where it's from. This is from the UK. You can get the Omani version. They are supposed to be even stronger. So value for money for me, from my standpoint, is pretty high. I love complex fragrances. I love long fragrances that give you a lot of different notes from time to time and keep you entertained. Fragrances that smell different in different seasons. It gives me everything. Very high value for money if you like complex fragrances. Now, I've covered everything. Age group. This is a mature scent. I would say this is 25, 30 plus. I haven't, apart from Reflection Man, there's not a single Amouage which I can say is going to be fine with a newcomer. But if you're an experienced 20-year-old who's been through the journey, who knows a few fragrances, this is going to be a fabulous addition to your collection because of its complexity and its quality. So marks out of 10. See, it starts off at like a 7, yeah, even a 6. Some people will be wrong-footed. For me, it starts off like a 7. It finishes like a 10. So I'm going to go in the middle. I'll go with 8 out of 10. Just to be on the safer side. Don't want to mislead people into believing this is the next masterpiece. It is a masterpiece, but only for a select few. So 8 out of 10 I think is a fair. Hope you enjoy the review, fellas. Take care. Do check this out. This is a fabulous fragrance if you're into complex fragrances. Take care. Bye-bye.